Hey everybody, Duncan here. I'm talking about the Second Amendment, this socialist David Hogg and his attack on the Second Amendment and his speech at the March for Life. So let's break down his speech and we'll go over my opinion on it. So with that being said, let's listen.
First off,
Okay, so first thing they're doing is they're saying vote them out, referring to any politician that respects and fights for the Second Amendment, the NRA. Okay, they want to remove guns from the civilians. So they're saying vote out any politician that's willing to protect the Second Amendment.
I'm going to start off by putting this price tag right here as a reminder for you guys to know how much Marco Rubio took for every student's life in Florida. $1.05.
And that is a very slanderous thing for him to say. And if I was Marco Rubio, I'd be talking about suing him for slander.
Okay. Now, who here is going to vote in the 2018 election?
And I hope they do, because this country does need more voters at that age, between 18 and 20. But these people need to be responsible voters. They cannot just vote by their hearts. They need to use their minds as well.
If you listen real close, you can hear the people in power shaking. We're going to make sure the best people get in our elections to run, not as politicians, but as Americans.
You see, that part I agree with. I agree with the whole Americans running and taking the country and having the country. And we need more people like that. That is the beginning of the MAGA movement right there. But then things go sideways.
Because this is not cutting it.
It's your movement.
And to those politicians supported by the NRA that allow the continued slaughter of our children and our future, I say get your resumes ready.
Okay, and see, here's the part that he's leaving out. He's blaming the NRA for the slaughtering. What he's not doing is placing any responsibility on the hands of the criminals committing the crimes. He's not putting any responsibility on the hands of the same politicians fighting for open borders that pump illegal guns into our cities and into our inner city youth, and which, he's not even talking about the failed background checks that the FBI completely missed. Okay, all of these are things that he's missing, and he's trying to use radical politics based on a random occasion, a random event. And he's trying to push politics. We can't have more government based on random events.
God bless all of you and God bless America. We can and we will change the world.
Okay, now first of all, look at this crazy rock star pose he's doing. Alright, tell me he's not in it for the fame. Now secondly, he's talking about changing the world. Well, to him, I'd say, yeah, you do change the world. Because essentially what you're doing is you're removing guns from America. The same American Second Amendment has been keeping America safe from not only our own people attacking or our own government attacking us, but it keeps other governments and other countries from coming in and trying to evade us. The Second Amendment is world known. This is the reason why we don't have enemies trying to invade our country. Because they know that every one of us have a gun. So with that being said, let's talk about the need for the Second Amendment. Okay, I live here in Oregon. And we recently, as of I believe 2016, had an event where the federal government stepped onto a man's land, tried to enact eminent domain based on Uranium One scandal. They came in using the feds to essentially murder an American citizen. So, these feds came bearing weapons, assault rifles. These feds came bearing much more armed force, tactical force, than this family had. So let's listen to this story for a minute.
The wars were here in John Day, Oregon. This is a small town that Ammon Bundy and others were on their way to speak. There were about 400 people here to hear them talk about the BLM. Of course, they never got here. There was a roadblock and the killing of Lavoy Finicum, the arrest of everybody else who was with the two cars that were there. Tonight, the FBI released footage of the killing of Lavoy Finicum. We saw this as it was being done live. The video was a little bit choppy. We also got narrative from the FBI. As Biggs and I looked at this, it did look as if the law enforcement officer was nearly hit by the car. Again, it was jumping as we were looking at it, and that was what the FBI said. However, if you look at the video, which has now been posted up, and watch what happened, they went about a mile after their initial stop. We were told at that point Ryan Payne got out. It's difficult to see what was going on at that point, but they drove for about a minute, so we're assuming that's about a mile down the road. They hit another roadblock. Lavoy veers off to the left. As he's doing that, there's a law enforcement officer that jumps out from behind these cars, and he veers even farther to the left. Now, if it was his intention to run over them, I don't think he would have continued to veer further out to the left. At that point, he exits the vehicle. His hands are out to the side very clearly. He's unarmed. His hands are out. He walks, takes a few steps. It looks like he stumbles. His arms start to come down. And then it's difficult to tell because we're looking at this only from aerial footage. They've not released any footage from the cars. We don't have any sound, so we can't tell when the first shots are fired by the FBI. Now, we've had multiple accounts in just the 2 days since this shooting happened. We were first told by Mark McConnell, who was late to the refuge, and he was supposedly a bodyguard, I think, in the first car where Ammon Bundy was. He said that eyewitness told him, talking about an 18-year-old woman that he did not name, that Lavoy charged the FBI. We didn't hear that story from anybody else, but the FBI did say that they only fired 3 shots. We heard on local radio that Lavoy reached multiple times into his waistband. Now, I don't see that happening in the video. As a matter of fact, you can see in the video that he never charged anybody, so you can discount what Mark McConnell said completely. The 18-year-old woman that he was talking about was Victoria Sharp. She was traveling in the car with Lavoy Finicum and others. She had an audio interview where she talked about what happened. She said that he had his hands up the entire time, that he was unarmed. She said then that they were not fired at 3 times. The person interviewing her said, they said they shot at you 3 times. She said, "Are you kidding? They shot maybe 120 times," she said. Now, it's not possible to tell from looking at this video because there is no sound. Nevertheless, as you look at this, you can see flashbangs going off. You can see puffs of snow as they're hitting the ground close to the vehicle. So there's a lot of things here that verify what Victoria Sharp was saying, but throws a lot of questions on the narratives that we've been given by the media that doesn't come across very well for the FBI. And I've got to say, when you look at this video, I find it hard to believe that Lavoy Finicum presented a danger to these officers. If, as they say, they found out later that he had a 9mm pistol that was loaded inside his vest, as he's walking towards them, and said he stumbles, one hand comes down, and then again, this is from an aerial view. It's dark clothing against a white background. You can't tell if he's putting his hand down, but it certainly isn't going into his waist, I don't think, because he's got a coat on. I don't think at any point you could construe that as going into his waistband. I don't think it looked like he was going into his coat. But if he had a pistol, don't you think that somebody like Lavoy Finicum, if that was his intention to shoot it out with him, don't you think he would have come out of the vehicle with a pistol in his hand? I think that it is clearly a case of an unjustified shooting from what I can see with this. We need to see more footage. The FBI needs to release their ground-level footage. We need to see that with audio. Otherwise, I'm inclined to believe what Victoria Sharp said. She has a testimony that I think matches up best with what we see. Now, we're going to continue to talk to people in the area, not just about the killing that happened, but we want to talk to them about the grievances that they had with the BLM. The people from the Wildlife Refuge had been traveling to multiple cities, addressing larger and larger crowds about what could be done about the oppression of the BLM. That's the real story that
Okay, now with that being said, I'm going to end it there because we get the we get the cause. Basically saying this man is on a battle with the basin land, or the basin land management, I think it is, and it's over property rights versus eminent domain. The government found uranium deposits. They came in, tried to take people's properties. Finnegan fought it. Bundy's fought it. Hammonds fought it. The U.S. government came in, armed to the teeth, and they stormed the property. The Second Amendment states that we as American citizens have the right to defend ourselves against any enemy, foreign or domestic, against any government that has become large, so large that it no longer has our interests at heart. So when the government comes looking to steal your land, when the government comes looking to kill you, you have a constitutional right to defend yourself. So when this David Hogg idiot is trying to remove all of our guns, I want everybody out there to remember Finnegan, Leroy Finnegan. Remember the shootout that happened in 2016 in Oregon. Remember the FBI stormed the property and shot an elderly man to his death. Remember that without weapons, without the ability to protect ourselves, or the Second Amendment that gives us the right to do so, we all become sheep. So remember him in this quest for lives mattering, because he gave his life for the Second Amendment, and we should fight for him as well. Thank you. God bless. Have a good evening. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, subscribe to my channel, hit that bell for notifications, comment in the box below, and share my sites. Thank you. Duncan out.